Hello, welcome. It is the Everton Daily Live Extra. It is Monday, the 10th.
The 10th.
July. I just needed to clarify that.
Doesn't feel like July, does it?
No, it's very, very wet. Which is fine. That's, good for the Ducks, as they say. Everton have just flown out to Switzerland for their training camp. Obviously, they'll end that on Friday by playing local side Neon. The squad who went out is... Yeah, it does send a bit of a shiver up your spine, that, Jack, doesn't it, when you see that squad?
It's so anyone who's gone away over the summer and not thought about Everton and has come back with a slightly more positive mindset towards Everton and its general goings-on might see that squad and think, oh yeah, that's why I didn't think about these for months. That's why we were in so much trouble last season. Because it is very bare bones, isn't it? Yeah. It's a pre-season squad. Still got a couple of players away or about to come back because they've just been away. But yeah, it's not pretty, is it?
Yeah, the squad is Ryan Astley, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Tom Cannon, Billy Crown, Dele Alli, Lewis Dobbin, Abdoulaye Doucouré, Ben Godfrey, Andre Gomez, Adesina Gay, Liam Higgins, Mackenzie Hunt, Alex Iwobi, Michael Keane, Katia Korte, Andy Lonergan, Neil Mopai, Dwight McNeil, Stanley Mills, Francis Okoronkwo, Amadou Onana, Tara Youngo, Nathan Patterson, Jordan Pickford, James Tarkowski, Joe Virginia, and Lewis Warrington.
There's as many under 23 players in there as there is senior players, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got James Garner and obviously Jared Branthwaite who were involved in the England 21 squad. We won, but they won. Fantastic for them. We've got Damari Guy, who's playing for Jamaica. They won last night to get into the semi-finals of the Gold Cup. They won 1-0. He had an assist.
Makes sense.
Mason Holgate, I don't know where he is.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Holgate, isn't it? Because there hasn't been much noise about him either, not being involved going forward. If it was a player who looked likely to leave, like Maupay, for example, I don't think that would have really grabbed anyone's attention. But it's a strange one, Holgate, because there hasn't been any noise around him leaving. I've seen a little bit the last 2 days about maybe potential loans to other lower down Premier League clubs, but it wasn't anything that seemed particularly advanced. So either it is happening and he's going, or Dyche completely doesn't rate him, doesn't want him involved, or he's carrying a slight knock of some sort and isn't ready to join up with the squad. Yeah,
it is a strange one. Obviously, Seamus Coleman stayed behind to continue his rehab. Michalenko, still be on international duty, I think. Well, sorry, still on his break from his international duty, I would think as well. So, it's not a great squad. It shows obviously what needs to be done. And again, Everton have been obviously linked with players over the weekend. Obviously, we know now that Ellis Sims has gone to Coventry. Obviously, he went to Coventry on Friday night, so that's done. That's some money in. And over the weekend, obviously, we've been linked with Ashley Young, who
split opinion a little bit, hasn't he? Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, splitting opinion might be talking lightly, but I mean, just on Ashley. Just on Ashley Young. Obviously, he's like 37,
38 yesterday, I think.
Okay. He can play in a few positions. I believe he's only missed something like 4 games in something like 7 years.
Through injury and
So, I mean, what are your thoughts on Ashley Young?
It's completely uninspiring. It is absolutely indicative of where we are as a football club, the mess we are in, that this is our first potential, real signing of the summer. But at the same time as all of that, it makes sense. If you look at how much he was involved for Villa last season, I think he started over 20 games.
Yeah.
For Aston Villa, can play at right back and play at left back. If you're going to play more defensively, you could probably get away with playing him on the wing. vastly experienced, won league titles with Man United, and he was at Inter Milan when they won the league. I don't know if he contributed too much to it, but was highly rated at Villa. I know a lot of their fans were quite sad to see him go. It's easy to look at it and think he's 38. He was probably past his prime about 8 years ago. No, I don't want anything to do with him. But if he's good enough for Aston Villa, he's at least good enough to provide competition for places at Everton, you would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, listen, I've seen players come into Everton at the not as old as this, although Richard Gough came into Everton and was pretty old, and was brilliant. To be fair, maybe it was a different time in the Premier League then. I don't think it was. Didn't need to be as fit as you do now, but this is a player who I think he played 23 starts last year in the Premier League, and I honestly don't think this is this is like the big sort of terrible signing that not everyone, some people are making out to be. I think you're absolutely right. I think it just shows where the football club are. It's as simple as that. It shows where the football club are right now. For a player who can play, I mean, in his career, he's played left midfield 203 times. He's played right back 82 times. He's played left back 71 times. Left wing 34 times. Right midfield 33 times. Second striker 12 times. Right winger 8 times. Attacking midfield 6 times. Centre midfield 5 times. Centre forward 2 times. Centre back once.
When was that?
I have no idea. But this is a player who's played literally every position apart from playing in goal. Ironically, Everton are actually well stocked with goalkeepers after Joe Virginia signed a 2-year deal, and we obviously know Andy Lonergan signed a deal, and we've got Billy Crowlin as well, and obviously Jordan Pickford. So he's played 422 times in the Premier League. I think if he's fit, and you can understand why Villa moved on from him. His age, and they're trying to build a better team. They're in Europe. Probably for him as well, thinking, would I get much game time? He's probably looking for his last big hurrah. I don't think it's the worst signing in the world. I just think that I do understand people. You especially social media, because I fully understand social media. You react and you literally put out the first thing that's in your head. But I think if he was a player to come in, number one, there's a lot of experience there. He's won. Well, obviously, he's a lot of experience. He's 30. He's won, nearly all the major trophies. I think the only thing he didn't win was the Champions League. I think he won it. I think he's won everything but the Champions League.
Not bad, is it?
It's not bad at all, is it? 38 yesterday was, yeah. Yeah, he won a Premier League with Man United. He won the Italian League with Inter. He won the Europa League with Manchester United. He won the FA Cup with Manchester United, the League Cup with Manchester United. So he's. I mean, he's even down as winning a under-21 Premier League with Manchester United in 2015-2016. Obviously,
must have got a game.
The old older age. Oh yeah, the old overage. But yeah, I do understand. I do understand why people would think it was a bad move. But honestly, as we are here now, there's a player. I reckon, right, genuinely, if he signed for Everton, I could see him playing 30 games. Every single week when it's like so-and-so's out and then so-and-so's out. He would play in so many different positions.
And you know what, as well, I think people would be quite fond of him. As well, obviously, he'd have to perform. I do think he would perform okay, but look at the loving Connor Cody ads over the last season as well. People wanting to part with $4.5 million for him on the basis, he's a leader and he's sound and people like him and he's got the experience, etc., etc. Yeah, you've got a player on a free transfer, okay, yeah, he's 8 years older, but if he's coming in on a 1-year deal anyway, and he can perform right now. His age doesn't really matter too much. You know, it's not like he's blocking the path of any young prospects in their position, because we just sold our young left-back prospects.
Yeah.
I imagine Nathan Patterson will play anyway when he's fit, but he's not been fit that often, so, you know, it's a good option to have.
I think for me, you know, last week we spoke a lot about obviously selling young players, you know, and what, you know, it's not right and it can't continue, and you know, you're selling, you keep cutting, and what have you got left to cut? And obviously Ishi Samuel Smith was confirmed over the weekend. He was given the number 4 shirt by Chelsea. I find that incredible.
It's a bit of a mad one, that, isn't it?
That sounds like, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him this season, whether he's like in the squad straight away. But and he said it was done really quickly as well, which is really interesting, just listening to the different things.
They have played young players around his age before. Like Lewis Hall got game time for them.
He apparently wants to play centre-back, but he's gone now. We got £4 million for him, he's gone. And we had that discussion last week in terms of certainly, you know, what have you got left? But that, you know, that's done now, and that conversation will keep going with that. Of course we will. But then you have to go sometimes to the next thing, is where you actually are, and where we actually are is here. Where we actually are is a squad that lacks any competition for Michalenko. It lacks a right winger. It lacks just general.
I think it'd be fair to say it lacks a bit of leadership after Cody's gone as well.
So I think when you put that all together, I think if a player is still playing, is still hungry, is still feels like he's got something to give, has got a good injury record, which again in the last couple of seasons, the likes of Tarkowski, the likes of Conor Cody, like you mentioned, people like that were brought in because we knew what we were getting from them. You know, someone's mentioned there in the comments Fabian Delph 2.0. I don't think he is a Fabian Delph 2.0. I think Fabian Delph had a terrible injury record. Ashley Young doesn't have an injury record. And I think that's the first thing I'd be looking at, of course, if you're bringing a 38-year-old in, or trying to bring a 38-year-old, is looking at all the data.
His fitness, his availability.
Of course, they'll be speaking to him and his agent, obviously, because he's not with the club. And they will be trying to get to the bottom of all that stuff, you know, of how many games he's played, why he missed games, you know, what is there any history of anything there that could flare up, and obviously that will play a part in Everton's decision whether they offer someone a contract as well. And for me, to be honest, I think it's probably a bit of a no-brainer for if it's a year contract. I really do, because I just don't think it's as terrible as maybe what people are making out to be.
People are struggling to look past the age, aren't they? I think that's the main thing. And don't get me wrong, like if you'd said to me 7-8 years ago when we first took over, would you take Ashley Young this minute? You probably would have said no. And, you know, a lot of time's passed since then, and you'd assume he's older, he's probably lost a yard of pace and that. But in our current situation where we are, we don't like where we are. No one does, but we have to admit that we're here. And survival this season is probably more important than it was last year, because if we go down this year, that means almost for certain we are going into that new ground in the Championship, which would be an absolute disaster. So, yeah, I don't like the thing either about having to sell young players to bring in a bit of money so we can spend on senior players. I don't like sacrificing the future for the now, but we have to do that right now because survival is so important this year. It has to be done, and Ashley Young is the type of player who can come in, free transfer, hopefully sensible wages, gives us cover in positions, probably good enough to start a lot of weeks as well. It's absolutely uninspiring, anyone who says that's right, but it makes sense, like you say. It is almost a no-brainer. If the wages are sensible, the terms are sensible, 1-year deal, it is a no-brainer because it gives us cover we don't have.
I think for Everton, as a club, and certainly for the manager, you can't get involved in those discussions. You can't be, you know, sitting there and worrying about things you can't affect. You can't affect how much money Everton have got unless someone says, well, I can get money for him and I can get who don't you want right now? If Everton for 2 years, if we can strip people away and we can give you the money, are you going to play this player or that player? And the answer's going to be, if the answer's no, then you have to sell them, and that goes for the likes of Ella Sims. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Tom Cannon. A lot there's talk of Sunderland and I think possibly Luton looking at him as well. It'd be interesting to see what they do, and it is horrible. But I hate it. I hate it. I made my feelings known last week. I hate it. I absolutely despise where we are as a football club. But as a manager, he can't get involved in that. He has to look at it and think, like, what can I do to help the football club? I think he actually may have been at Watford at the same time.
Yeah, I think he was.
Young came through as well, so he'll know something about the player. It's not nice, and I appreciate. I'm looking at all the comments, and I appreciate the anger towards the situation. I understand that, but I think the manager just can't get involved in that. It's not his job, and I think he's always, when he came in and this situation, he wants to be a Premier League manager. He wants to manage a club like Everton. He'll never manage a bigger football club than Everton. And he has to just manage it at face value. He, at the moment, can't get involved in sort of finding the underlying problem. He doesn't have time for that. All he's got to do is try and wheel and deal. And as I said, if he feels like this is a player that he can genuinely get games of football out of, 30 games of football, 25 games of football as a squad player, then I think this could be one of those signings. It might not. You never know, do you? As a 38-year-old, you are, of course, going to be more susceptible to getting injuries or getting unlucky, like Townsend did with his knee injury. That will happen. I don't know whether that happened. Townsend was more susceptible to that because he just turned 30. I don't know, but again, someone's mentioned Thiago Silva went to Chelsea at a similar age. And I remember when we were linked with Thiago Silva, and a lot of people, again, looked at the age and went, no. I think you have to take a step back sometimes, and it is that case of, it's not where we want to be, but it is where we are. And, if you were lost in the woods and you didn't have your phone, but at least you had a map, you could find your way out of it.
No, it's exactly it, innit? Like, we have to lose this mentality of, that's not the player I want. Ideally, I want this 21-year-old Spanish winger who's doing great in the Spanish First Division, who, he's great, but he's got a little bit of downside because he's not a completely well-rounded player, and he's going to cost 60 million as well. We don't have any of those luxuries right now. We don't have the time and we don't have the money. So it just has to be a case of, does this player improve our team? Is he good value for money? Is he the right fit character-wise to come into this team and settle in, and does he have something to offer? And if it's yes, then that player needs to be at least strongly considered.
Yeah, and it'll be, and it'll be interesting to see if someone else comes in for us as well, and see if the Everton fans who are against them, change the tone, because that normally helps get Everton player over the line, is when someone else comes forward and people suddenly feel like, oh no, we need to get him. I honestly think it's one of those. I just think many ways it's a bit of a no-brainer, actually.
Yeah, no one's going to throw a party over it if it happens, but it has a clear upside with minimal risk. So yeah, it's one of them. Fair enough if you're not excited about it, but it does seem to make sense.
Let's have a look at some of the comments on this one. Glenn Watson says the Premier night looked boss, because it was boss.
It was boss indeed, to be fair.
Ned fully smashing it everywhere. Smashing it, Ned. Smashing it.
Just smashing tunes left, right, and
take
centre.
the compliments, sunshine. Oh, well, but that's for another time, innit? Rob Keys says, afternoon, looking forward to this one. Young is causing some serious fume on Twitter, and looking forward to hearing some cooler heads talk pros and cons. If it's back up 12 months and a decent wage, I'm not too upset about it. If it's a sign of things to come, i.e. young lads rushed out the door and signing players at the end of their career, then it's a cause for concern. Well, it is a cause for concern. Any young player leaving the football club. I think The Athletic did an article, Paddy Boylan did an article over the weekend, and I think it showed how many players had left Everton in the last few years. You know, there was kids leaving when they were like 11 years old going to Manchester City. Me and Baz had a chat about it the other week about how when they changed the rules on players, when they could leave, and clubs getting no compensation, it basically, again, started destroying what worked in football. It
hurt the clubs outside of the top six.
Yeah, it hurt everybody because, once again, it was an idea of, oh, you don't need to be compensated. And at first, everyone was like, oh, that's fine, till... You know, it's that thing of like, oh, we can come looking for your players. And then when those players dry up, because clubs aren't putting any money into youth academies anymore, because what's the point? Then they come looking for your players, and you thought you were going to be the big... And it's the same. It's going to be the same in football now, where all these clubs go, oh, yeah, we'll sign up to that. And then suddenly go, oh, sugar, we're the bottom of the barrel now.
We're the ones they want to take people off.
And so Everton will lose players. And it's crap because... Yeah, I'm seeing Michael Ball mention it on Twitter, and it's like he was a player who, because people of my age, this is very reminiscent of the Walter Smith days. This massively reminiscent of just getting old players, kids. Well, kids got an opportunity under in the Walter Smith age, but then kids were sold, like Franny Jeffers, Ball.
As soon as they showed anything.
Well, as soon as someone come knocking for them. Franny Jeffers, we thought, was, you know, the next big thing, and then Arsenal come calling, and Everton didn't. Michael Ball, Rangers, £6 million. See, Richard Dunn to City. It was slightly different reason, but it was the same. It felt the same. The difference, as I said, was people like Dunn, especially Bally, Franny Jeffers, Danny Cadamati, they got an opportunity at least to play. But our young players aren't even really getting that chance at the moment. So it does feel like that. But people are entitled to feel how they want about this.
Absolutely.
I can fully understand, because I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. I despair at what's going on at our football club. I look at a player like Ishii Samuel-Smith that only, like last week, me and Baz were talking about pushing into the first team squad. Like, he should be in the first team squad this season. Like, we were talking about, if we buy another left back, that left back can't come in and stop someone like Ishii Samuel-Smith from moving into the squad. But the problem is, when you've got the likes of, you know, like someone like Stanley Mills, you know, him last season, he was doing brilliantly for the under-21s, but wasn't getting an opportunity, and yet didn't get a loan. And it's like, now, okay, he's gone away, but what's his future? Does he get a loan this season? Is he going to be part of the first team squad? Is he ready? If he's not ready, what's the path for him? And this is where Everton have just got to, you know, I know for a large part they already have, but this is where they have to get so much better and say to these kids, you're going to get an opportunity. Because what's clear about someone like Samuel Smith is, he's gone to someone like Chelsea. And I know people will go, well, Thierry Small did the same thing. It's like, yeah, but Thierry Small obviously thought he was ready and just didn't think he had any. And we talked about Ali Cho last week as well. It's like, these kids think they're ready. They're chomping at the bit. And I think what's a great indication is if you watch that England under-21 final on Saturday, you look at all those players, you knew them all. They've all been playing in the Premier League for a couple of years. For the majority of them anyway, started that game. It's like there's loads of players ready to go and play in the Premier League, and for some reason we're not giving these kids opportunities.
No, and it's one thing that really needs to change at Everton as well, this thing of leaving our younger players in limbo. You know, when they get the out training with the first team thing, you see that about a young player, that's almost the kiss of death for a young player at Everton a lot of the time, because that means, oh, so they're going to be with the senior squads a lot of weeks, which means they might not be with the under-21 squads, but then they won't get minutes for the senior squad either, but then they're with them, so they can't play for the under-21 team that day, and then they're just not playing football then, but they're not going out on loan either, because, you know, they're part of the senior squad, they're training with us, but they don't play for us, and then they miss out on young football as well, and they're just left not doing anything. We did it with he who shall not be named, Anthony Gordon, a couple of years back. I think he did go on loan to Preston later that season, but the first half of the season he did absolutely nothing, and I don't think that probably stunted his growth.
Yeah, and he got played the tournament.
Yeah, so it just goes to show.
No, it does, doesn't it? I mean, I think players just want to feel loved and feel like they've got a career path, a trajectory that they've got. You know, yeah, it is. These dudes feel like it feels just like dark, doesn't it? At the moment, it just feels like everyone else is getting on with the business and we're not, and if you like, Sean Dyche has yet to make a signing as the Everton manager. Like,
yeah,
you're
right.
Like,
actually,
he's yet to make a signing, and if his first signing is a 38-year-old, that's again, it just shows you where we are. But he knew what he was coming into, and he knows the job that he's prepared to do, and it could be. At the end of the day, there's still a month till the season starts. There's plenty of time between now and then to get players bedded in, and I think there's also again a stress. Well, touching wood is, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He could be the thing this season. I'm not saying he will be the thing. I'm just saying he could be the thing. If you got Dominic Calvert-Lewin firing, then that could be the difference, isn't it? That could be the difference from having a bang average team, bang average team, to one that's got something about it, at least a little bit of a competitive edge. And if you put a few more people around them, and you bring in just a little bit of something, then we could be a bang average team. And I think we'd all take bang average, wouldn't we, right now?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That could be the thing that gets us there, but I would be a very worried and unoptimistic individual if that's the only thing that we've got to hope on, if we don't bring at least another forward in that we can sort of hope and rely on first, if Calvert-Lewin isn't fit and firing. But you are right that, if he is fit and he's playing well, that he takes this team up a level, but
no, it's a huge if.
Let's please not bank on just that.
No, of course we need signings. We need two strikers. But what an actually young signing does, just to go back to it again, is obviously it might help us in the case of not needing, like, say, 3 players and saying, well, these 3 players are going to be maybe squad players. And I think that's probably a large part of the way he's thinking. Everton Viking says these are properly dark days. Georgie Redmond says get Andre Gomez playing. Well, he's back, isn't he? He is back.
That 20-second clip on Twitter has done them all. They convinced everyone that Andre Gomez is the second coming again. I'm not convinced, to be honest. Fair enough if, we've got a very thin squad, as we've seen with that pre-season list. So fair enough if you want to give one of the current outcasts a chance, but for me, I'm not convinced.
No. Chad says Ashley Young would massively improve Everton's chances of starting a veterans team. Otherwise, I see no benefit in him coming in. It's not like we have a bunch of young players in who needs a seasoned professional to show them Premier League standards. Fair enough, mate. Lindsay says, Afternoon, lads and fellow Blues. Not sure how I feel about Young, but a year in the dressing room with the leadership qualities of our youngsters and watching learning from him can't be a bad thing. I think he's free, so why not? I don't want to go overboard about the leadership stuff, because I think that was a big part of, like, when Delph came in, wasn't it? Of the old, like, it's the dressing room stuff.
You can't just be that.
And I know a little bit of like that was with Cody last season. But I do believe, though, in players setting standards. And I think if you are a 38-year-old, you obviously have set yourself standards to why you're still playing. If you're 38 and you're playing, so forget about all the mouthy stuff of what people say in the dressing room. I do believe there's a standard, and you do hear this quite often of, like, when proper high-end professionals come into dressing rooms, you know, people who've been to places and won things, and they take that level in, and people try to match that, and it's the extra thing. And I think me and Baz mentioned this on Friday night, funny enough, at the Premier night, when someone asked us who'd been the best captain in the last 20 years. And I said Phil Neville. And I think one of the reasons why was because he brought a professionalism into the dressing room that he brought from Manchester United. That probably wasn't
he was from
there.
That Fergie school,
yeah.
The old school
and
mentality.
that probably got passed on, because the dead easy answer would be to say Seamus Coleman, but he probably passed that on to Seamus Coleman of like, this is how you have to be, this is how you have to act. If you want to be able to like compete with other players, you have to make sure, like Phil Neville was like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing like his yoga and his Pilates and all that stuff, and doing like hours and hours of stretching first, like something that like had come from, like, I think Ryan Giggs had started it, where it's like, if you want to take your career, if you want to extend your career to as long as you can, you need to be fit, you need to stretch, you need to do the extra work. You can't be, just thinking, oh, I can just continue being young for the rest of their lives. And I think that professionalism would help just on that, like, just from showing other people, well, how, he's 38 and he's still doing it, he's still fit. How do I do? I do think that rubs off. I think if you have bad people, not bad people in the dressing room, but if you have people who cut corners. And you can cut corners, I imagine. When you're young, you can cut corners. You can get away with a lot because you're young. But as you get older, I played 90 minutes, by the way, on Saturday.
Oof.
And I feel dead inside. Like, dead inside. Like, it took me...
Well, I seen you run around the car park with Neds for less than 3 minutes playing footy once, remember? And that took its toll.
That was a while ago, though.
Have you been on, like, the fitness?
I've been running
since?
for the last, like, I had to drag myself out of bed to go for a run this morning. And I did, because that's my mindset at the moment.
Got that Ashley Young mindset.
Got the Ashley Young mindset. He inspired me before he even came, or even if he's coming. Yeah, and I'll be honest, I feel dead. Like, now I know there's a difference when you're a professional footballer, but... your body's still your body, and the difference between being like 22 and 38, 22-year-old could probably play 90 minutes, go out on the ale all night, and then come back the next day and feel great, where a 38-year-old just can't do that. And it is about setting standards, not, as I said, it's not about ranting and raving, it's not about telling people what you have to do and where you have to do them. It's just going in every day and being professional, first in, last out, doing the extra work in the gym, staying behind on the training pitch, doing the stretches, because it all catches. It does. It all catches on. Why are you doing that? Well, because it helps me do this. Oh, how come you never get injured? Because I do this. All that stuff is really important, and people might think it's not, but it is really important.
You've got to put yourself in the shoes of the players, haven't you? You've got to think, if I was a 22-year-old at Everton, and then a 38-year-old fella comes in,
you'd have been sold
and
by
like, it's but no. Say you're Nathan Patterson, for example. He's around that age, and I'm not saying he's a lazy trainer or anything. I don't know, but I'm using him as example.
Yeah.
Say he isn't the hardest trainer. Say Ashley Young comes in and absolutely shows him up in terms of effort and training, getting there early, he's leaving late. Just the lifestyle, healthiness. If he completely shows him up in that regards, that is going to make him go, okay, well, I need to match him. I can do what he's doing. It's
not even about being lazy, and it's good. It's right that you pick someone like Nathan Patterson. Nathan Patterson's injury record while he's been at Everton, it's been poor. He's 22-year-old. He'll be looking at those players. He'll be looking at Seamus Coleman. He could look at someone like Ashling if he came in and said, why am I getting injured all the time? What are you doing that I'm not doing? How come you haven't been injured? Or how come you recover? It's not even your injuries. Injuries come. How are you recovering
it's
faster?
Lifestyle,
and that, do you know what? Players do get injured. It's often the recovery that's the issue. How are you recovering quickly? And what you tend to find out about players who don't recover injuries, because they have terrible habits. They don't drink enough water. They might drink too much alcohol. They're eating just, they have a rubbish diet. And it's what you put in your body. It all comes back on you. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether you're like, look at, like, you know, not digging Ned out, but his diet is terrible. And we keep telling him he's sitting there eating an apple.
He's eating an apple as we speak.
His diet is terrible. And you know what? He is fit as a fiddle, but he keeps on picking up all injuries and he doesn't understand why. It's because his diet's terrible.
I want to bin this can of Red Bull now. It made me feel ashamed about my body and my lifestyle, my sedentary lifestyle.
Don't worry, I'm not body shaming you, lad.
I feel like I'm being body shamed.
You're sitting there in your Ajax Bob Marley tribute top and you do look a bit sleepy around the eyes, though. I don't think you've got over the gin from Friday night.
They were nice gin, to be fair. Pomegranate.
I wouldn't know, but that's an. Have you been on like what like I don't know, Google or Trustpilot and give them a 5-star review to Murphy's Gin Bar?
I haven't, but I will do because Murphy's Gin Bar is an excellent institution.
They look after us brilliantly, and it's going to be the place to go on a match days, and I'm looking forward to it. John Jones says nobody mentioned Anthony Robinson has just signed a new 5-year deal at Fulham. I don't know what you want me to say.
That's great for him.
I did say when he was leaving Wigan we should be signing him back, and I was told by everyone that he was crap. So, and maybe he is. I don't know. That's up to you people. That's Everton. That's Everton. It's terrible, but that's Everton. There's millions of comments on. But what I will say, the poll is a 50-50.
Isn't it?
Yeah, the poll. I mean, Ned's done. Ned, I love the question, Ned. It's just Ashley Young question mark.
It could be anything,
couldn't it? Young. It could be anything, couldn't it? But he's just put Ashley Young question mark, and it is 50-50.
There might be people that want him, but are voting no because they think the question is your name Ashley Young?
Do us a favour, there's 905 of you watching. Can more of you do the poll, please? It's just gone to 51% no, which was good enough to destroy this entire country. So there you
51% can often be enough.
Question is Ashley Young.
Exactly, Ned. You've left it a little bit ambiguous there.
No comment.
Well, you should have put, would you sign Ashley Young? Come on, Ned. Ned, by the way, I need to give you some advice about Friday night. I think you made a fatal slip up in your set.
What was it?
So I don't know whether this is a normal thing for you, right? And you need to tell me. But when you play in Liverpool, right? Are you listening? Play Hey Jude last. Always.
Really?
That's your closer.
Never goes down as well as you think, though.
No, but Ned. I'm telling you right now, it's because you play in so many wool-lit places that maybe this might work in other places. But when you play in Liverpool, always Hey Jude is your finisher.
Got to finish strong.
It's your finisher. You've got to go, ladies and gentlemen, this is my last song of the night. Hey Jude. And honestly, the whole place will demand more, and they'll all be singing because they know it's your last song. You played it, and I was like, why is she playing this song? Why is she playing it? Are you finishing? It's got in Liverpool. That's got to be your finisher. I'm just telling you. For you, other places, you've got the experience, but in Liverpool, always play Hey Jude last. Because it's, honestly, mate, that's your killer. That's your finisher. People, you leave them then, like, demanding more. What was your last song?
That does make sense.
It does make sense.
Don't look back.
No, that might be good
That'd
for other
work
places.
in St. Helens.
Yeah. But in Liverpool, Hey Jude, mate, honestly, I'm telling you that's free advice.
Was it not Spirits of the Blues?
No, you played Spirit of the Blues dead early.
Did it to open up to get back?
Yeah. That's fair enough, but I wouldn't have. I would have, but Hey Jude always last in Liverpool.
And if you hit them with a little bit of like, oh, thank you everyone for coming out. I got one more song for you. I hope everyone's having a great time. This one's called Hey Jude.
That's a great song. But you build them up and then you just like, you leave them wanting more. And then everyone will be like, you're amazing, Ned. You're the greatest thing since...
And then as well. If they demand an encore,
Yeah.
then it doesn't actually
And
end
then-
up being your last song,
Yeah.
so you've got it both
But
ways.
But then you get, yeah, exactly. See, Ned, I'm making you money here. Martin Kitney says, another example of Felwell only looking in the Premier League. Do you think we actually look outside the league for young players? How to say Felwell has been a disaster for our recruitment in recent years. I'll be honest, Mart. I think he's stuck, Felwell. I don't think he's got full control of the club in the way he should have, like other people do. And I think because he hasn't got the control and he hasn't got the money, I think it means he hasn't been able to do the job properly.
The thing is with Felwell as well is Marcel Brands, whatever you think of his time at Everton, he did come with a reputation beforehand as one of the better directors of football in Europe around that level of club. You know, came to Everton, obviously didn't have a lot of control, ends up leaving not long after signing a new contract. Kevin Felwell came from Wolves, where we know he was never the main man in terms of transfers, because that went to Mendes. He was in charge.
Technically, he didn't come from Wolves.
No, but you know what I mean.
I'm just because people will say.
Yeah. But, you know, he'd spent a long time at Wolves where he wasn't their main man, Mendes was. Obviously happy to do the job there for a while, but, you know, his most recent big job wasn't one where he was, I have control over every tiny detail. I know what butter these players have on their sandwiches, like type of thing. Like, he wasn't the complete control master there. So it wouldn't shock me at all if, like you say, he's not the main man at Everton right now behind the scenes. And look, we don't know, do we? All we know is that he's the third director of football to come into this club under our current ownership and to do what fans are considering a bad job. So maybe there are other factors.
I have a lot of sympathy for the directors of football at Everton Football Club. I had a lot of sympathy for Marcel Brands. I just don't think they can do the job. I just don't think they're allowed to do the job. I think the money's not there. I don't think the structure's there. I think other people get involved from the outside. I just don't think it's as easy as what we'd like it to be. Harry James Tattoo, and I mention this for a reason. He says, "Hey guys, I proper enjoyed the Premier night. Thanks for all being sound. And whoever said Dice doesn't sign young players." Right, so I don't know whether you were privy to this conversation because you were balls deep in gin with your girlfriend. Right? But Harry James Tattoo, have a guess what he does?
Tattoos.
Yeah, and he was covered in them. And
isn't he going to give Ned one?
So Harry said Ned said he wants a tattoo. He wants nil status and is he off them on his arm, right? Fair enough. That's up to Ned. That's whatever he wants he can have, right? But we suggested to Harry to do it live on a show, right? And I think that's the way forward, personally. And if he gets, and what I'll say is this, right? If Ned gets one live, I'll get a little Everton tattoo. I'll get just a little tattoo, just a little one. I'll get a little one because I've already got that. I don't want nothing major because I like my tattoos to mean something. I'm not like, I don't just throw them on my arm. But I might just get like the new little tower, maybe, just somewhere or whatever. But so Ned, is your mic on? Yes. Are you up for getting a tattoo live?
Of Harry, yeah?
Yeah, live in here.
Yeah.
Tattoo live.
Yeah, it's my idea.
It wasn't you.
I just said to Harry, I'm not coming to the Wirral, mate. I said, come in.
Do you know what, Ned's like that second good thing he said. So Harry, if you want to come in here and tattoo Ned, and then I'll just like grab a little tattoo, maybe a little Everton Towers, just I don't know where because I don't. See, I've already got that space earmarked. Got that space. That's safe.
There's the one lined up.
There's one lined up. There's me leaving Goodison tattoo's going to go there. Right? But might just get a little one somewhere. Right? So imagine that though. Imagine that live show. Ned gets tattooed. Because that will be some... Because the boss thing is, you haven't got any tattoos, have you, Jack?
No.
That's fine. We're all...
I would like one.
Think about
maybe
tattoos,
not live
but once
on Toffee
you get
TV.
one, right? They're addictive. You want the pain is weird. It's like you want. That's why people are covered in tattoos, because once you get it, you want another tattoo.
I don't think I'd ever, because I know I wouldn't suit like loads of tattoos. That's why I'm just getting
having a lovely neck one, mate.
Like nil satisness shots on my arm. It's like it's barely. So it's barely anything, is it? But it's just something that means.
But Ned,
to me.
why don't you get like a teardrop like tattooed?
So you have to
on your face
to get a teardrop.
Well, it can be. Can't it be for, like, if you've lost someone as well? Like you could have like a teardrop tattoo for Cam.
I'm not. Oh yeah. Well, he's got a family.
Yeah, but
I remember when
family. So if you get like a teardrop,
that sounds good.
I remember when someone I was with got a tattoo, and I was like, yeah, I think I want something, but I'm not quite sure what I want on my body for. Like, it's been nil satisfaction shots in for years, because my dad's got the Everton badge on his arm, so I was like, I want something to do with Everton as well.
Someone said in the comments, tattoos are awful. Tattoos aren't awful whatsoever.
And like people say, like, oh, you have to cover them up in work. Culture's changing.
Depends on who.
Everybody has tattoos. Rules aren't like that anymore.
He's got loads of tattoos. Like,
that was rules 80 years ago.
I've got 3.
Fashion.
I've got 3. I'd easily have more.
I remember my mum sending me a picture of some balance scales tattoos, and I went, "Why have you sent me that? Because you're a Libra." And I was like,
The thing is, Ned, if you want a tattoo but you're not sure what to get, just pick a famous person and copy theirs. So, for example, you could copy Conor McGregor and just get McGregor tattooed over your stomach. But the thing is, you look like a little bit like him as well.
Yeah.
So you could be onto that fella. He was like Eastern European bloke who pretend to be McGregor and actually trick people into thinking he was McGregor.
Make a bit
until
of money
they
from
heard
it.
him speak, obviously, but they'd come up and be like, it's Conor you could do that.
Yeah,
but you could have the
Conor
tattoo and
McGregor,
everything, and you could have McGregor.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I've not rushed it. Like,
no, you shouldn't.
Rush it. Since I was 18 and I'm turning 23 in like 2 months, I've wanted nil satisfaction shots to him.
The thing about it is, though, about getting a tattoo is you need, like, you need to know everything. Like, you need to know the font and everything. You need to know. You can't like that. My Batman tattoo, I thought about that for literally years. How I was going to do it, how it was going to work.
Same as this one, what I wanted.
It came out of the quote, "The night is darkest just before the dawn," and I was like, at first I was just going to get that, and I was like, no, that's going to can't be enough. And I literally created the image myself, and I found the tattoo artist who would be perfect for it. So yeah. Ned, Glenn Watson says, get a Les Paul guitar tattoo.
I've thought about that before, but it's always like, it's just because I've got a Les Paul. That's just be for the sake of it.
I said to you, I
can't picture
music.
it.
I said to Ned, get like the notes from like Z Cars or Spirit of the Blues, but he said no, so that's fine.
Same as like, I always thought about getting like a leopard gecko, but I can't imagine it on me.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's what you've got to put in your head. You've got to think, is this just something that I want in the spirit of the moment?
Yeah. Well, that's it. But I've always wanted nil satis there.
It is there for life, so it's got to mean something.
And I've had this picture for like on my phone for years of how exactly I want it. Okay. And Harry showed me the picture of how he done it on someone's arm, and it was exactly the same. And I was like, yeah, that's it.
Get like a barcode tattoo of like your Tesco club cards or something.
So I can just go like that?
Yeah, so you never have to get it out if you leave the house without it or whatever. It's fine. You can just go.
Might get a QR code to my link tree so I can go. It's like music. Scan that.
Or like or like your Spotify page.
Yeah, that's it.
Fair play to you.
That'd be my pulling power in the club. Then.
Oh, I mean,
not that you need any more.
Hey, love, scan that.
Absolutely. No, I like that. That's an actual. That sounds like a real good one. The poll is still 50-50, so fair play to you. Peter Finn says, Ped, what do you think of Silo? I think it's good, mate. Ask me again at 5 o'clock and I'll give you more info about it. Let's have a look. There's just millions of comments. Millions and millions of comments.
How many millions?
5 and 7 minutes.
No, I know. Shut up, Ned. Wait, we've got 2 more minutes because we've got to know that we're going to be live again at 2 o'clock, but over on our second channel, More Than a Game, for general transfer stuff. So a couple more minutes. Steve says, Ped, you've just said about him being competition to Michalenko. Do you honestly think it's acceptable if we don't go and sign a first choice left back when we all know we desperately need it? And that's even more worrying if he starts over Michalenko every week, yet he's not even a left back. I do, mate. I do find it worrying. You know my position on this. I don't think Michalenko is good enough. The problem is, do we have enough money to bring in 2 strikers and a left back and whatever else he wants? Yeah, and whatever else he wants.
You're absolutely right. Like Mikalenko, isn't good enough to be our number
No,
one
I don't
choice.
think he is,
but we need forward players
Yeah.
more, and with a very limited pot of money. It is just a case of make do, isn't it?
I'll be honest, right? You've got to make a list. Everyone's got to make a list in their own heads of what they think we need. And the problem is, you've got to make that list and then go, well, how much money do we have? And how long's it going to stretch? And if you get to a point where, say, do you know, this used to happen? Again, usually a little bit young, maybe a bit young for this. But the Moyes' team, right? Every year we'd need something. But we always needed a right back. But it never got high enough on the list to be addressed. And that's why Tony Ibbott was our right back. Now, Tony Ibbott was solid. But you always look at that position going, no,
that was the one that could have been improved on every year.
It could have, but it didn't. But it also didn't need to be because it wasn't a big enough priority. And it's also why, like, Leon Osman as well was like, people, oh, you need to get rid of him. It's like, yeah, but he's fine. He's a decent player, but we need to get that and that sorted. And every year there'd be something that was more important, especially. And that's what. And Tony Ibbott was a good, solid player, but you could see where where the fullback position was going, and obviously that's why we got lucky with Seamus. So yeah, it's what we need first. It's what we need. I think it looks like we sorted the goalkeeper situation out, whether we like it or not. And let's be honest, Pickford will play every single game.
Touch wood.
Pretty much, yeah. But he's like, that's the way he's been, hasn't he? And then centre backs were sound for. Right back was sound for. Cut the cover with Garner as well, James Garner. We do need to sort left back out, so it is high on the list. Right midfield, 2 more centre forwards, another centre midfielder, I'd say, certainly an attacking one, creative one. So, and other people might leave as well. Damari Gray might leave. So, yeah, I'll at least say, I'm not going to mention. Well,
as long as he goes somewhere that makes sense for him.
Go somewhere, and then you can tweet about our players leaving. Yeah, there you go. Listen, big thank you to everyone for watching. The poll is 50-50. It's remained 50-50. 737 people saying it's just gone over yes. 51% for yes.
Sign him now.
Oh, that's Eddie signed. You can't.
He's in.
Unless
He's gonna walk in the studio now.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait for the 740th vote.
Been waiting for it to go into yes, so we can bring them out.
It's gone back to 50-50. Right, we're going to end it there. We're going to end it there. We're going to be live in about 5 minutes over on our other channel. It is 50-50, 741 votes. Catch us there. We'll be back at 5 o'clock as well on Toffee TV Premier. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.